Imagine for a moment that the story you know is just the tip of the iceberg, that there are hidden truths in Jesus' words, coded messages that have been ignored, misinterpreted, or even deliberately hidden. What would happen if you discovered that Jesus' true message spoke not only of faith and salvation, but of a much deeper knowledge, a wisdom that reveals the secrets of the universe and of humanity itself? A truth so powerful, it could completely transform your perception of reality and your connection with the divine. Today, we will delve deeper into the secret teachings of Jesus, those mentioned in apocryphal gospels, Gnostic texts, and ancient mystical traditions that few know about. And the most surprising thing is that when we understand these messages in their entirety, our perception of reality changes completely. At the end of this journey, I will reveal to you the most profound teaching of all, a truth that can transform your life in ways you never imagined possible. Since time immemorial, the figure of Jesus has been associated with love, compassion, and sacrifice. But behind his words lies a much broader knowledge, a message that transcends the conventional doctrine we know. In various spiritual traditions, Jesus is portrayed not only as a master of morality, but as an enlightened one, a connoisseur of the great mysteries of being and the cosmos. His teachings contain keys that have been studied by philosophers, mystics, and seekers of truth throughout the centuries. To understand these hidden teachings, we must first question why some of the texts that spoke of Jesus were excluded from the canonical Gospels. In the early centuries of Christianity, numerous writings circulated among Jesus' early followers. Many of them contained ideas that challenged power, structures, and presented a worldview more aligned with self-knowledge and inner liberation. Over time, certain powerful groups established what should be accepted and what should be forgotten. One of the most impactful documents in this regard is the Gospel of Thomas, a text that contains phrases attributed to Jesus, but with a philosophical and spiritual depth that differs significantly from the traditional Gospels. In this Gospel, Jesus speaks not only of faith, but primarily of self-knowledge. One of his most revealing quotes says, "If you bring to light what is within you, what is within will save. If you do not bring to light what is within you, what is within will destroy." What does this teaching really mean? Jesus is telling us that within us there is a sacred knowledge, a divine spark that, if we find and cultivate it, will lead us to true freedom. But if we ignore this inner potential, if we allow our lives to be governed only by external factors, by imposed beliefs or fear, then we condemn ourselves to an existence of suffering and ignorance. This message resonates deeply with teachings from other esoteric traditions. In Hermetic philosophy, it was said, "As above, so below, as within, so without." This reminds us that the path to truth is not outside of us, but within us. Jesus taught his disciples that the kingdom of God is not a distant place in the sky, but a reality accessible here and now to those who seek it with a sincere heart. Another fundamental aspect of Jesus' hidden teachings is his insistence on the transcendence of the ego. Throughout his life, Jesus spoke in parables, many of them aimed at dismantling the illusion of ego-based identity. In the Gospel of Luke, we find this powerful statement: "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it." This is not simply a call to physical sacrifice, as some have interpreted. It's a profound teaching about the need to transcend identification with the superficial self, with the labels, positions, and illusions of this material world. Jesus tells us that only when we leave behind this false identity can we access our true being, the Christ consciousness that dwells within each of us. The Gnostics, a group of early Christians who were persecuted for their beliefs, understood this message well. For them, knowledge or gnosis was the key to salvation. They believed that Jesus came not only to redeem humanity, but to awaken in each person the divine spark that connects them to the supreme source. According to Gnostic texts, Jesus privately taught his closest disciples knowledge that was not revealed to the general public. as only those who were spiritually prepared could understand it. But if this knowledge was so powerful, why was it suppressed? The answer is simple. A human being who understands their true nature, who accesses inner knowledge, cannot be controlled. Power structures, both religious and political, have always had an interest in keeping humanity within certain limits of thought. Jesus, with his message of spiritual freedom, posed a threat to these systems. Do you truly believe that Jesus' message is limited to what we have traditionally been taught? Or is there something deeper, something hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those willing to seek the truth? To truly understand Jesus' hidden teachings, we must explore their depth. Connection with ancient wisdom traditions. Most people know him through conventional biblical accounts. But what is rarely mentioned is that Jesus did not emerge in a spiritual vacuum. His message had deep roots in ancient mystical currents, such as the teachings of the Essenes, Egyptian lore and Eastern wisdom. The Essenes, a community of mystics who lived in retreat near the Dead Sea, practiced a lifestyle based on purity, meditation, and self-knowledge. It is well known that John the Baptist, who paved the way for Jesus, had strong ties to this group. The Essenes believed in the enlightenment of the spirit through discipline and connection with the inner divinity, an idea that resonates deeply with Jesus's words when he said, the kingdom of God is within you. Jesus' influence does not stop there. Some scholars have suggested that during his younger years, Jesus may have traveled to distant lands, learning from other spiritual traditions. In India, there are ancient manuscripts that speak of a teacher known as Isa, whom many believe to be Jesus. According to these texts, Isa spent years among Buddhist monks absorbing their teachings on compassion, meditation, and the illusory nature of the material world. And this is where everything begins to fall into place. Jesus taught not only about love and faith, but also about detachment from the material world and the importance of awakening inner awareness. This idea is strikingly similar to the teachings of the Buddha, who centuries earlier spoke of the illusion of the ego and the need to transcend suffering through enlightenment. In ancient Egypt, Hermetic wisdom taught that everything in the universe is mind, that external reality is merely a reflection of our inner consciousness. Jesus expressed this same idea in a different way when he said, "Whatever you ask in prayer believing, you will receive." This isn't just blind faith, but a deep understanding that our minds and spirits have the power to manifest reality. Jesus spoke in parables, and many of them concealed profound truths that only those with eyes to see and ears to hear could understand. Take, for example, the parable of the sower. In it, Jesus tells of a man who plants seeds, some of which fall on fertile ground and bear fruit, while others fall on rocky ground and cannot grow. At first glance, this seems like a simple metaphor for faith. But if we look deeper, we can see that Jesus is speaking about the power of conscience. The seeds represent knowledge, and the soil represents our mind. If our minds are closed, knowledge cannot take root. But if we open ourselves to the truth, then that knowledge will blossom and transform us. And what about the famous phrase, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened to you." This is not just an invitation to prayer, but a code for the search for truth. Jesus tells us that knowledge will not be given passively. We must seek it actively with determination and a genuine desire to understand. However, not everyone was prepared to receive this knowledge. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says something disturbing. "Do not give dogs what is holy, nor throw your pearls before swine." What do these words mean? Jesus wasn't belittling people, but warning that sacred knowledge can only be understood by those ready to receive it. Attempting to reveal these truths to those unprepared only breeds rejection and confusion. Throughout history, great spiritual masters have been persecuted, misinterpreted, and even silenced. Jesus was no exception. His message was revolutionary because it taught that true power lies not in religious institutions, but within each person. He didn't come to establish a new religion, but to awaken humanity to its true nature. And what happens when a message of this caliber reaches the world? It challenges power structures. It's no coincidence that Jesus was condemned by the religious and political authorities of his time. He wasn't just another preacher. He was someone revealing knowledge that could free people from manipulation and fear. Consider this. How many times throughout history have attempts been made to suppress the truth? How many texts have been censored? How many teachers have been silenced? And yet, the truth always finds a way to come to light. Jesus taught that true awakening comes not from without, but from within. It's not about blindly following imposed dogmas or traditions, but about seeking the truth for oneself. If we look closely at Jesus' words, we discover that his message contained an even more profound teaching, one that has been misinterpreted and distorted over the centuries. Jesus spoke not only of love and faith, but also of the hidden power within every human being. His mission was not only to bring salvation, but to reveal the path to spiritual enlightenment, a path few fully understood. Jesus spoke in parables, using symbols and metaphors that many found enigmatic. In the Gospel of Mark, his disciples asked him why he spoke this way, and he replied, "To men it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God, but to those who are outside, everything is told in parables." Why didn't Jesus explain his teachings directly to everyone? The answer is simple. Because true knowledge cannot be imposed. It can only be discovered by those who truly seek it. Those unprepared to receive the truth will reject, ridicule, or distort it. But those with an open mind and heart will be able to see it clearly. And here we come to the most powerful teaching of all. Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." What truth was he referring to? Many have interpreted this phrase as an invitation to follow his teachings. But there is something more. Jesus spoke of a deeper truth, one that has the power to free humanity from the suffering, fear, and illusion of the material world. To understand this, we must look at another of his most powerful messages: "I and the Father are one." This statement, recorded in the Gospel of John, is one of the most misinterpreted in the entire Bible. Jesus wasn't saying that human beings should worship themselves, but that within each of us lies a divine spark, a direct connection to the source of all that exists. This concept is not exclusive to Christianity. In many ancient spiritual traditions, it is said that the human being is a reflection of the divine. In Indian Vedanta philosophy, it is taught that Atman, the individual soul, and Brahman, the supreme reality, are one. In Hermetic wisdom, it is said that God is mind and the universe is mental. All of this leads us to the same conclusion. Divinity is not separate from us, but within us. Jesus also left us another clue in one of his most mysterious statements. The kingdom of God will not come with outward appearance, nor will they say, "Hey here," or "Hey there," for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. For centuries, many religions have taught that the kingdom of God is a place reached after death. But Jesus said the opposite. The kingdom of God is not a distant destination, but a state of consciousness that can be reached here and now. This is one of the reasons why his teachings were considered dangerous by the authorities of his time. If people understood that divinity resides not in temples or religious institutions, but within themselves, then they would no longer rely on intermediaries to connect with God. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, "When you make the two one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, then you will enter the kingdom." This phrase holds a profound esoteric meaning. Jesus is telling us that the key to spiritual awakening is the unification of opposites, the integration of body and spirit, the material and the divine, the conscious and unconscious mind. This idea is very similar to what medieval alchemists taught, who not only sought to transform, lead into gold, but understood alchemy as an internal process of enlightenment. In Kabbalah, there is the concept of tikkun, the restoration of balance in the soul. And in the Taoist tradition, the balance between the yin-yang, and the yin-yang is spoken of as the key to achieving harmony. So if Jesus knew this profound knowledge, why was he condemned? The answer is clear. His message challenged established beliefs and threatened the control of religious institutions. Jesus taught that divine power belongs not to an elite, but to all human beings. And when someone reveals knowledge that can free people from manipulation, it inevitably becomes a threat to those who seek to maintain control. But Jesus didn't leave these teachings only for his disciples of that time, but for all those who would be ready to receive them in the future. His message is timeless and continues to resonate today. Now we reach the culmination of our journey. We have explored how Jesus taught about the awakening of consciousness, the inner divinity, and the connection to the kingdom of God within every human being. But there is one final teaching, a knowledge so powerful that it has been obscured throughout history, distorted and hidden so that few could understand it. Before revealing this secret, we must remember one of the most enigmatic phrases Jesus ever spoke. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. At first glance, this phrase may seem like an invitation to sacrifice, but its meaning is much deeper. Jesus wasn't talking about losing one's life in a physical sense, but about transcending the ego, leaving behind the limited identity that binds us to suffering and the illusion of separation. This is the core of all advanced spiritual teachings, the death of the false self and rebirth into one's true essence. It's the same principle we find in Buddhist philosophy, where it's taught that enlightenment is only achieved by transcending the ego. We also see it in spiritual alchemy, where death symbolizes the transformation of the human being into its purest state. Jesus himself experienced this transformation at the moment of his crucifixion. His death and resurrection were not merely historical events, but symbols of a process that each of us must go through. The crucifixion represents the dissolution of the illusory self, the detachment from attachment to the material world, while the resurrection symbolizes the awakening of consciousness, the entry into a state of unity with the divine. Jesus didn't just teach this with words, but left clues for those who truly wanted to understand. In the Gospel of Thomas, we find an extraordinary statement. If you bring to light what is within you, what you bring will save you. If you don't bring to light what is within you, what you don't bring will destroy you. Herein lies the final secret. The key to awakening is not outside, but within each of us. It's not about following dogma, seeking external saviors, or hoping for a distant paradise. It's about discovering the hidden treasure within us, awakening the divine spark that has lain dormant for so long. But why was this teaching hidden? Because it implies a truth that's dangerous to control systems, that each person has within themselves the power to connect with the divine without the need for intermediaries. Jesus didn't come to create a religion, came to show a path to liberation. And now I ask you a direct question. Are you ready for this awakening? Because understanding this teaching is not enough. Knowing that the kingdom of God is within you changes nothing if you don't take the next step. True knowledge is not information. It is transformation. Jesus not only spoke the truth but lived it, embodied it in each of his actions. And this is the invitation he leaves us, not just to listen but to experience, not just to believe but to live the truth. If you truly wish to awaken this reality, start by looking within yourself. Ask yourself, what part of my life is based on fear rather than love? Where do I remain trapped by beliefs that limit me? Am I living from my true essence or from an identity created by the outside world? And above all, remember these words of Jesus, you will even greater things than these. Jesus didn't come to show us what he could do, but what we too are capable of when we awaken our true nature. The ultimate secret is this. The kingdom of God is not a place we arrive at after death, but a state of consciousness we can reach now. There are no barriers between us and divinity except those we ourselves build. And when we break down these barriers, when we stop looking outside and turn within, then and only then do we find the truth that makes us truly free.